Samaritan. Luke 10:25-37. The story: one day, a man was travelling from Jerusalem to Jericho, a road known for being dangerous. As he walked along, he was attacked by robbers, who stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and left him half dead by the side of the road. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. Similarly, a Levite came to the place, and when he saw the man, he also passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he travelled, came where the man was. When he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him, bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day, he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper. "Look after him," he said, "and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense you may have." Yeshua then asked, "Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbour to the man who fell into the hands of robbers?" The expert in the law replied, "The one who had mercy on him." Yeshua told him, "Go and do likewise." Scene 1. Introduction. Story: one day, a man was travelling from Jerusalem to Jericho, a road known for being dangerous. Explanation: the introduction sets up the context. The man is on a dangerous journey. The road from Jerusalem to Jericho was notorious for robbers and harsh conditions, setting the stage for the man's need for help. Scene 2. The robbery, the attack. Story: as he walked along, he was attacked by robbers, who stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and left him half dead by the side of the road. Explanation: this is the critical moment in the story, where the man is violently attacked and left in a dire condition. It emphasizes his vulnerability and need for assistance, which becomes central to the parable's message. Scene 3. The priest passes by. Story: a priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. Explanation: the priest, a religious leader, sees the wounded man, but chooses to ignore him and avoid the situation. This scene highlights how someone who should be compassionate, a religious figure, neglects his responsibility to help. Scene 4. The Levite passes by. Story: similarly, a Levite came to the place, and when he saw the man, he also passed by on the other side. Explanation: a Levite, another religious figure connected to the temple, also sees the man in need, but does nothing to help. This reinforces the message that knowing what is right doesn't always lead to action. It shows the failure of religious duty to inspire mercy. Scene 5. The Samaritan stops. Story: but a Samaritan, as he travelled, came where the man was. When he saw him, he took pity on him. Explanation: the Samaritan is introduced as the unexpected hero of the story. Samaritans were despised by the Jews at the time due to long-standing ethnic and religious differences. The Jews viewed them as outsiders, even enemies. So, when the Samaritan stops to help, it breaks social and cultural norms. His compassion is not just surprising, it is radical. Where the priest and Levite saw an inconvenience, the Samaritan saw a fellow human in need, and he was moved with genuine pity. The Samaritan's willingness to act in a way that crosses social boundaries shows that true compassion is not limited by prejudices or labels. It challenges the audience to rethink what it means to love and care for others, regardless of their background or status. Scene 6. The Samaritan heals the man. He went to him, bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. Explanation: the Samaritan doesn't just stop to offer a token, gesture of help. He fully engages in the man's recovery. He uses oil and wine to clean and soothe the man's wounds, showing a concern for the man's physical comfort and healing. By putting the man on his donkey, he takes responsibility for the man's transport, leading him to a safe place where he can rest and recover. This act of kindness goes beyond surface level help. It's a deep, practical, and selfless act of care. This scene illustrates what true mercy looks like, not just feeling sorry for someone, but actively is not about proximity or shared identity, but about how we respond to those in need. True neighbourliness is about showing compassion, regardless of differences. Scene 9. The answer. The expert's response. The expert in the law replied, "The one who had mercy on him." Explanation. The expert in the law correctly identifies that the Samaritan is the one who acted as a true neighbour. His answer is important because it acknowledges that love and mercy transcend social and cultural boundaries. The expert's recognition of the Samaritan's mercy is the first step in understanding the broader message of the parable. Scene 10. Application and call to action. Yeshua told him, "Go and do likewise." Explanation. Yeshua's response is both a challenge and a command. He tells the expert in the law, and by extension, all listeners, to go and do likewise. In other words, don't just admire the Samaritan's actions, but imitate them. The parable teaches that love is not just a feeling or a belief. It is something that must be put into action. We are called to love our neighbours, especially those in need, without prejudice, without hesitation, and without calculation. Closing thoughts. The parable of the Good Samaritan challenges us to rethink the way we view and respond to those in need. It teaches us that mercy and love are not bound by social, cultural, or religious divisions. True compassion is about practical action, going beyond words or good intentions to actively care for others. Yeshua's call to go and do likewise encourages us to be the kind of neighbours who show mercy and kindness to all, especially to those who are most vulnerable. The story invites us to reflect on how we define neighbour and challenges us to break down the walls that divide us. It reminds us that, in the end, we are all part of one human family, and our love for others should not be limited by our differences, but should be motivated by